We're going to look at Gradebook. I have two different tabs open here, and I'm going to show you how to start from scratch and also what a fully formed Gradebook would look like. So what we're going to do is we're going to start back over on our administration column, and here we do have grades and Gradebook setup. So we're going to go to the Gradebook setup option. And this is a empty shell of a gradebook. And what we can do is we can do two different things on this page. We have add category and we have add grade items. So you could start by simply adding in items, but usually if you do have a series of different categories, specifically if they are different weights, that's a good way to start. So I'm going to start with add categories, and I'm going to say quizzes. And at this point we can choose aggregation. So we can choose simple weighted mean of grades, meaning that all the quizzes are going to be the same weight. They're all going to be even essentially, and one isn't going to count for more. So at that point I would choose simple weighted mean of grades. If I had a series of quizzes that are going to be weighed differently, then I would choose weighted. So we'll go into that a little bit more. For this time, I'm just going to actually choose simple for this. I'm going to hit Save Changes. I'm going to add two more categories here, so I will do papers, and I am going to change that to weighted mean of grades. Hit Save Changes, and then I'm going to do tests. And I'm going to weigh that as well. So again, it could be reports, like lab reports, it could be some sort of journal entries, anything like that. So quizzes, like I said, I didn't add a weight in, but for papers and tests I did. Here I can add in grade items, and so papers might be ones that you are actually creating assignments for. So I will show you how that will change if you actually create an actual assignment on the front of your Moodle page so that students can submit a paper directly. That will automatically show up here in the gradebook. So for right now I'm just going to hit add grade item. I'm going to say test 1. We're going to go with the value. That is fine. Maximum grade, I'm going to say that's 100 points for that one. And it can also go into the grade categories since I've already created them. So at this point, I'm going to say that I'm going to drop this into tests. I'm going to say test 1. And you can see now I have this here under tests. And so in weights, it just says 1. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in test 2. I'm going to drop that into the tests again, hit Save Changes. And so at this point I can choose how I want these to be weighed. And so tests, I'm going to say that this test 1 is going to be worth 60% and test 2 is going to be 40%. So that's showing that this is carrying, no matter that they're both 100 points, that this one's going to be carrying more weight than the other. So if you are keeping everything at consistent level and everything is equal, then you do not have to choose that, and the simple weighted mean of grades would be fine for that. So for quizzes, that's why I chose that. I'm going to hit cancel on that because before I change that, I didn't actually hit Save Changes on my weights. So I'm going to hit Save Changes on that. And now I can go in and I can add additional grade items. So if I wanted to, I could do this one. Again, drop it into the right area. And then as you can see, each one of these has the column where it would give me the weights, because I don't have this is the quizzes category, which is the simple weighted. It doesn't give me that box there. That's fine. It does give me the max grade. And then on each element, I do have the editing option. So this is the bar for editing the quiz itself, and this is for editing the category. So for instance, if I chose after the fact that I did want this to be a weighted category, I could go back in, hit edit settings, and I could change that right there, and I could say weighted mean. I don't want to do that on that one, but you can go through and add any of those adjustments. There is the overarching course though, and so this is, you can see that it has a color scheme that allows you to see that it's this edit button is for the entire course gradebook. So I'm going to hit edit settings on that. And in this case, what I am going to say is I am going to change that to weighted mean of grades. And I'm going to hit Save Changes. And what we see here is we now have weights for each category. And so in this case, I could say that quizzes are worth 20%, papers are worth 20%, but tests are worth 60%. And so that will again add additional weights within the gradebook. So the more weights categories that you have, obviously you want to ensure that the calculations connect with what you anticipate the gradebook should look like in your syllabus. But this is a pretty robust gradebook that does allow you to make very specific changes on how you are weighing each particular element or category. And so I would hit Save Changes on this so I could retain all of this information. I'm going to go back to the front page for 1 second, and I'm going to actually add in an assignment. And paper 1. And as I go down here, it does give me, some information that I can change the maximum grade on that. And because I've created the grade categories, I can actually drop this in and say, I want that to be added into the papers area. And then I can come down here and I can save and return to course. If I go back to my gradebook setup, now under papers, I actually have one that looks a little bit different. It has a color, says paper 1, it has this icon that has the hand, which means that it is an actual assignment. And as students start submitting this start submitting the papers, it will tally into the gradebook directly. So any assignments that you are putting through the main Moodle front page by using the assignment function will show up here. And if I click on it, it will take me directly here. It'll say how many people are in it, if there were any submissions. Right now I don't have any submissions, and it will show I only have one person in here. And at this point you could directly grade it. It would show if you have files, if someone has uploaded it, or if you have uploaded feedback files. So that is just a quick overview of how an assignment will tally into your gradebook itself. So I'm just going to go to a different gradebook here, one that has a little bit more in it. So like I said before, I had a quizzes option on the other course that was just a simple weighted mean of grades. This is the same. This one has 12 quizzes and they're all equal, but collectively the quizzes are 25% of the grade. There's a lab grade, and in it there is just an input grade that the professor could add, as well as a paper. So the same sort of thing. That is 25%. And then under exams are worth 50%, but each one has a bit of a different weight. So this is something you can continue to expand on. And you can also see here that on this one, these look a little bit more grayed out. And that is because you can, when you come in here, you can use this option that says hide. So you could hide the entire view of the gradebook, or you could hide particular areas. So if you didn't want the students to see the exams grade for some reason, it doesn't delete the exams or it doesn't delete the gradebook, it just hides it from view. So if you were in the middle of grading and you didn't want students to see anything that was half done, you can hide individual areas or the entirety of it. So on any of these I could click on it. So at this point, the quizzes category was hidden, and so here I could just choose the link that says show, and that would show it back, give access to the view for the students. And just always remember to hit Save Changes as you go through. When you are on this particular page, at the very top there is this gradebook setup link, but it gives you a quick toggle to a couple different views. So I could go into Grader Report as well, and I could see at a quick glimpse all of my students, and I could see all of the grades that we already have. So I could see how they are faring. It would give me a course total, so it could tell me, what exactly the calculation is at this point. And if you thought that maybe something wasn't tallying accurately, this would give you that quick view to see if everything that you have put in here in the grades are actually coming out accurately from what you expect. So this is another way that you can quickly go through. There are a number of different ones that you can take a look at. But the most useful ones are Grader Report and then Gradebook Setup. These are the two that we tend to go through. You can look at how this would show to a user, how a student would see it. I'm going to go back to Grader Report here. So that's a quick overview of the gradebook. We don't recommend using the extra credit functions in Moodle. We tend to find that complicates things more than it benefits. So if you do have questions about how to work with extra credit, please let us know. But overall, we are happy to sit down and walk you through how to set up your gradebook, but this is a good starting point.